Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
So, Battlestar Galactica might have been right. Ancient space humans landing on Earth, interbreeding with early Earth humans. Yeah, this might have actually happened. For entertainment purposes only and pure speculation on this study. But scientists recently discovered evidence of what they call a ghost population of people from our distant past within our DNA. They were called Population B, an unknown hominid species that wasn't Homo erectus, Neanderthal, Denisovan, Sapien, you get the point. They were something else entirely, and they showed up 1.5 million years ago, interbred with early humans, and disappeared without a trace from the genetic record. And then they showed up again 300,000 years ago and intermingled with us once more. Now here's where it gets crazy. Scientists believe that this population contributed 20% of our DNA to us, and they also likely boosted our brain function significantly. Which means whoever these people were much smarter than us, and nobody knows who they were, or where they came from, or where they went. All they left was genetic fingerprints, almost like they were visitors from somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying it was aliens, but what do you think this ghost population was? Were they Earth-born superhumans, lost to time, or just another normal hominid offshoot? Or could they have been something not of this world, engineering our development?
Population B. You should look into that more.
It's the Anunnaki, bro.
It blows my mind that more people don't realize that today was one of the most groundbreaking days for space in history. Scientists have just said that they are 99.7% sure that there is life on this planet that's only 124 light years away. What's even crazier is how they figured this out. Scientists were able to use the James Webb Space Telescope to analyze the light coming off of K2-18b's atmosphere, and it was missing one important part of the light. This unique part of the light that's missing indicates to scientists with 99.7% confidence that there is a gas on the planet called DMS that on Earth only exists as a result of life and is produced in massive amounts by phytoplankton in the ocean. And this planet is basically an ocean planet, which makes me wonder what other life is lurking in the oceans of K2-18b.
I wonder what kind of life it has.
None. They lie about everything, bro.
There's a bone on Mars.
What?
Okay?
That's on Mars.
That's on Mars. That's a bone.
What?
Yeah. Certainly isn't a stone.
That does not look like a stone. And you got these from JPL?
Yeah.
Really?
Come run off a negative of Mars in their mapping series. See these little buildings? One there, one there. Here's 3 in a row.
Buildings?
Yeah.
This is on Mars.
Here's a building over here.
Is it a picture from a rover, or is it a picture from a telescope, or?
It's a picture from a mapping satellite.
So Jesse Michaels of American Alchemy just interviewed Joe McMoneagle, one of the most accurate and well-documented CIA remote viewers that there's ever been. Joe showed satellite mapping imagery he obtained directly from JPL, and it's definitely something worth questioning. A bone on Mars? Could this be actual evidence of something more? Perhaps proof that Mars actually had life? The imagery is real, but the question is, what is it?
He's a plant, bro.
They can't all be plants. There probably was life on Mars at some point.
Any reasons why it's hard to trust the government? Somebody ran the moon landing photos through AI.
Most intelligent computer in the world, called Google's neural network. And it has a deep fake detector program that's never been wrong. You can feed it a video of Biden or Trump, it'll tell you in 1 second whether it's real or not. They fed it pictures of the surface of the moon from the unmanned Chinese probes from 2014. Said they're real. Every Apollo picture it said was fake. It had a fake backdrop. It was taken in a television studio. That's the most intelligent computer in the world that can understand the pixels. One of them, it suggested that this wasn't even a full-size lunar module, that it was a miniature. And that's how they were able to do wide landscapes, because one of the astronauts' figures, the AI said, was a miniature because the footsteps shadows weren't normal the
like
way
a
a person would walk, that they were stamped in there with a fake footprint.
So you can believe the government when they tell us that they lied to us.
I like that. Believe in the lie, because the lie is the truth.
Yeah. When the liars tell you that they're lying, then you can believe it.
What do suckers do?
Suckers suck.
It's pretty crazy.
Told you, bro. They lie about everything.
And of Neil Armstrong, the most famous man in the world at the time, first man to walk on the moon, guess how many pictures, still pictures, there are of him on the surface of the moon? 0. He refused to have his picture taken. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. That's why he only gives interviews under the direct order of the President of the United States on special anniversary occasions, right?
Why did he refuse? I mean, because he wasn't there, I guess.
Well, as best as I can tell, he was an honorable man. And when they asked him to fake the moon landing, he said, good luck with that, but count me out. But he was already the replacement of the first crew that we'll get into, who, according to their own relatives, was murdered for not cooperating. And so he couldn't publicly resign. People would ask too many questions. So they probably threatened his life, but seeing how he's a test pilot, I don't think threatening his life meant a whole lot to him. So then they threatened his family, you see, and he reluctantly participated. You can see his expression during the press conference like he's at the funeral of his mother.
Yeah, that was strange.
You can see his expression the day he's suiting up. He looks pitifully unhappy. And that's why he hardly ever talks about it, doesn't want to have a thing to do with it.
Yeah, he looked well uncomfortable.
They made him lie, bro.
The cult of the Black Cube, better known as the Saturn Death Cult. The global elite worships the dark side of the planet Saturn and uses occult symbols in modern institutions, and it's been going on since creation. Basically started with the fallen angels, and it all revolves around the god Saturn. But this god Saturn is also the god Baal, the god Molech,
oh gosh,
and is prevalent in basically every ancient and modern satanic.
Saturn is Satan.
They think it translates from, say, the astrology Capricorn, which is the primary thing, and that is Saturn, which is a goat. The black cube, I'm like, where's the black cube come into this? There's like this dark spot on the top of Saturn that is the shape of a hexagon. And if you take the hexagon and you make it a 3-dimensional, it makes a cube. What was crazy is that if you go to basically any major financial district, they all have a monument of a black cube.
No way.
They believe that worship of it is that they're able to tap into this realm or this deity to be able to enslave the masses.
I've seen one of these in London.
They're all over the world, bro.
We're going to talk about the great and almighty Netflix. Netflix, man, they running the show. But then I found out the secrets.
What's the secrets?
His great uncle was Edward Bernays, and he was the guy who invented propaganda.
Sigmund Freud's sister, Anna Freud, gave birth to Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, the father of propaganda. Bernays took his family's work in psychology and used it to help governments and corporations manipulate the minds of the public. Bernays manipulated women into buying more cigarettes by convincing them that smoking was a form of feminist liberation, and turned people into mindless consumers. Is it any surprise then that the great-nephew of Edward Bernays is none other than Mark Bernays Randolph, the co-founder and original CEO of Netflix?
Who better can manipulate the masses than Netflix? The CEO of Netflix, he's from Freud. He's a Freudian.
What are the chances of that?
It's not a coincidence, bro. You know they've got a Doomsday film.
I can't believe that CNN actually has a pre-recorded broadcast that they're going to play when the world ends. Yeah, for real. When CNN first started in 1980, it's one of the first things they told us. On launch, CNN founder Ted Turner stated, and I quote, "Barring satellite problems, we won't be signing off until the world ends. We will cover it, the end of the world, live, and we will play a certain song before we sign off." And this was on day one of CNN's launch, so bro really set the bar high. To be fair, tensions with the Soviet Union were quite high at the time
time as well, with the threat of nuclear war at the forefront of everyone's mind. CNN's end-of-the-world broadcast became known as the Turner Doomsday Video and was kept hidden for decades, until 2015, when it was actually leaked by a former CNN intern, Michael Balabin, who posted it on YouTube. And this is it. An 80s quality 1-minute video of a military band playing Near My God to Thee in front of CNN's headquarters. Kinda underwhelming for what we'd expect a Doomsday video to be like. But the funniest part is the intern revealed the video was stored in CNN's archives under the totally nonchalant title Turner Doomsday Video and was labeled as HFR, hold for release till end of the world confirmed.
I'm surprised it wasn't a national anthem.
I thought it was going to be the Team America theme.
This is not a neighborhood. It's actually a cemetery, a cartel cemetery. This is, bear with me, Jardines Ulmaya, located on the outskirts of Culiacan, Mexico. And here, the dead don't rest in peace. They rest in luxury. Endless rows of massive tombs costing upwards of $500,000 line the hillside. Inside the tombs, not only do they hold some of the most powerful and brutal cartel members that have ever lived, but also Wi-Fi, satellite TVs, and air conditioning. And of course, every tomb has to be bigger than the last, with the most expensive going into the millions. In one instance, the family of El Polo, El Chapo's brother, reportedly spent over $1 million on a massive mausoleum complex, which has 5 interconnected buildings. We're talking Italian marble, gold-plated domes, and even bulletproof, because apparently even after death, it's still on site. Meanwhile, the surrounding neighborhoods are crumbling in poverty. So the question is, should these tombs be left standing or torn down with the cartels that built them?
Can't believe that exists.
Some guy went there, bro.
I've been to some crazy places before, but this has to be up there as one of the craziest. This is a cemetery. These are all mausoleums dedicated to cartel bosses in Culiacan, Sinaloa. These aren't houses, these are mausoleums, tombs, like the tombs of Egypt for the pharaohs, except these hold the narco kingpins, and each one built larger to one-up their competitors. It truly is unbelievable. The amount of money that the cartel makes. They have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it. To the point where they build $1 million mansions to be buried in. Monuments to some of the most evil people that have ever walked the earth. Here in Sinaloa, Mexico. All propped up by a government that's as corrupt as they are.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, bro. They're fucking savages.
This is the secret to remembering everything. What? You can remember literally everything. Now, what do you mean by that? What's one piece of content that after you've seen it, you just remember the rest of your life? I'll give you the answer. Something cursed? I don't know. Close. What? It's something super scary. Okay, yeah. Something scary and something that spikes your adrenaline. Now check this out. So, there's a theory that adrenaline spikes in our body make us remember things so vividly. Now check this out. Okay. Any single time you felt embarrassed, any single time you felt like you're in danger, how well do you remember that moment? That's why they come super well, right? Yeah. Now in the Middle Ages, bro, take this in. After teaching kids in the Middle Ages, the elders would throw kids into a freezing river to spike their adrenaline. So they found out that spiking their adrenaline will make them remember and retain all of the information in their head. What? So throwing kids in lakes after teaching them shit. Theory, let's say you're studying for an exam, whatever it may be, right? You study, try to make yourself super anxious, make yourself feel like, oh, I'm gonna die, right? You're gonna remember that shit, bro.
Sounds crazy, but it makes sense.
We've lost a lot of ancient knowledge, bro.
People should look into cymatics. This was done in cathedrals, which I thought was really cool. There was a fellow who took a device, went into cathedrals, and saw that the stained glass windows in the cathedrals were emitting the same picture on his device as the stained glass windows. The sound resonance in which we can't hear is actually being impacted by the materials and the colors and everything that's with it. So when you get into sound frequency, people can look into cymatics. There's lots of fellows who've done different things with cymatics. They take plates of salt and they show how different pictures and different graphics are created with sound. Each different sound can heal a different organ. This is where you get into like sound therapy, sound healing. They do the things with the bells and they do things with the drums and the tuning forks. Back in the 1920s and 30s in Germany, they would do tuning forks. They put tuning forks up and down the body, and that's how they would begin to heal the person. They would find a spot that was stuck, and they would bring that tuning fork right to there. They'd hold it there until it cleared, and then they'd move it down. But when you get into plants too, certain frequencies of music can be very beneficial, and then certain ones can be detrimental.
We should do a deep dive episode on this. Seems unbelievable.
Trust me, bro. It's legit.
You guys want to hear something terrifying? The prophecy of the popes.
Oh boy.
This book in the Vatican archives predicted every single pope from 1143 all the way to our current pope. But the scary thing is, after Pope Francis, the last one, it just says Judgment Day.
Oh gosh.
It literally ends after Pope Francis?
Yes. The creepiest thing, inside St. Paul's Basilica, bordering the whole inner sanctuary, is a picture of every single pope. But what's weird is that there's only a certain amount of markers where you can put a picture. There's one left after Pope Francis. They have always said once that last slot is filled, it will be the end of the world. What he predicted, the time it took to go from the first pope that he wrote about to the halfway mark was 422 years. He's saying from the middle one to the end, another 422 years will be the end of the world. If you do 422 in the middle pope, which was 1585, that year is 2027.
Dang!
It's even weirder. Pope John the 23rd, he said that the end of the world would happen 2,000 years plus Christ's life. So that adds up to 2027 as well.
We got 2 years left, bro.
Come on, Ted. Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only.
When Pope Francis died just after Resurrection Sunday, a lot of people shrugged. Old man, poor health, he's 88 years old, he died of natural causes. Supposedly. I mean, anytime a pope dies, it's a big deal. But people still shrugged. Moving on to the next thing. But to the people that knew about the prophecy of the popes, those people didn't shrug at all. They froze in place when they heard the news. Because according to a 16th century prophecy that's not so quietly been circling around for centuries, Pope Francis wasn't just any pope, he was the last pope. Back in 1590, a list of 112 short Latin phrases appeared, supposedly written by a 12th century bishop named Saint Malachy. Not Saint Malachi, Saint Malachy. Each phrase was said to describe a future pope by symbol, by origin, or by destiny. Over time, believers in this prophecy noticed that many of the mottos were shockingly accurate, but it's the last entry, the 112th pope, that's made the whole thing infamous. It says this: in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations. And when these things are finished, the city on the 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. The end. Now, if you count from Pope Celestine II, who began his reign in 1143, all the way to now, Pope Francis was number 112, the final pope. And according to the prophecy, after him comes Judgment Day. That's still just a creepy coincidence. Let's keep going. Pope Francis died in his 88th year. In biblical numerology, 88 symbolizes a new order, a transition into something radically different. He died just hours after Easter Sunday, also known as Resurrection Sunday. And get this, the year 2025 marks 434 years since the prophecy was first published in 1590. That number matters because the book of Daniel talks about 62 weeks, which scholars equate to 434 years leading up to the death of a messianic figure. Francis's death, 62 weeks after the prophecy, mirrors that timeline. 2025 is the 70th biblical jubilee, a special year of redemption that only happens once every 49 years. The first one supposedly was commanded in 1406 BC. 70 jubilees later, that's 2025. According to Daniel 9:24, the 70th week is when everything begins. The tribulation, the judgment, the end. Switching our focus back to Rome. Do you know what else is in Rome? The city of the 7 hills. So here's the final picture. The last pope has died. The timing aligns with Easter, Daniel's prophetic calendar, and the 70th jubilee. The world is in deep chaos. Obviously, wars, plagues, moral collapse, just like the prophecy said. Now, no one knows the day or the hour, right? The Bible says that, and we have to believe that, right? But if these signs mean what people think that they mean, we might not be waiting much longer, right? Damn it, man.
2 years, bro.
Shut up, Ted. Nothing's gonna happen.
Did the company behind Scotch tape and post-it notes create a UFO-type force field in the 1980s? This is apparently a true story, documented by one of the 3M scientists himself. The story is crazy. You guys are going to want to stick around for this one. Now, on a warm summer night in 1980, 3M employees would unexpectedly create a Star Trek-like force field in their factory in South Carolina. Inside the plant, massive rolls of polypropylene film were being unwound at high speed for manufacturing. And as the plastic moved, it created an intense electrostatic charge. Suddenly, workers noticed something bizarre. When they tried to move through a certain area, they couldn't. It was as if an invisible wall had formed in midair. Now, obviously, word spread fast, and then this man, David Swenson, an electrostatic specialist at 3M at the time, was called in to investigate. Employees began testing the phenomena. Small objects would pass through fine, but larger objects, human-sized objects, were mysteriously repelled. The force field was so strong that people were getting stuck trying to move through it and had to walk backwards out of the force field. Swenson would measure this force field at 200 to 500 kilovolts. To put that into perspective, your wall socket, your electrical outlet, is between 120 and 240 volts, and a taser is around about 50,000 volts. A bolt of lightning is between 100 million to a billion volts, but that's in an instant of discharge. This 3M force field wasn't just high voltage, it was sustained and strong enough to create an invisible barrier that people could physically feel. David E. Swenson's write-up about this incident wasn't just some thing he wrote for a blog. His paper, Wide Propylene Web Static Charge, a phenomena worthy of Star Trek, was presented at the 1997 Annual Technical Conference of the Society of Plastics Engineers. This is one of the most prestigious, well-respected, and longest-running technical conferences in the plastics industry.
You got scooped up by the CIA, bro.
You're probably right.
I don't know if y'all heard of him, but Julian Brown is back at it. This man started a diesel truck using plastic waste for gasoline. Meaning, he's not actually using gasoline, he uses what he calls as plastiline. And he's using this to run a diesel truck. He already ran a regular vehicle off of it, and he got a video for that as well. He be having big crowds when he doing this stuff. And the way he does is he liquidizes plastic waste, I believe using solar power. Don't quote me on that, I don't know exactly how he does it. But he does have a GoFundMe right now to get the equipment he needs to keep on doing it. I think he's trying to raise like $16,000 or something like that. And I'ma tell y'all, like I told y'all in the other video I did of him, bro, we need to protect this man at all costs. Y'all know how they come for them people when they got them revolutionary ideas that could take away from their bag, that could take away from their control. Y'all know how they do them people. And I'ma keep bringing this up. A few years back, somebody ran into a grocery store with a weapon and took out a whole bunch of people in military fashion. And one of those people just so happened to be one of the people who was trying to put out a patent for the hydro car, basically trying to start running cars off of water instead of gasoline. And for some strange reasons, out of nowhere, he passes away in a very random and deadly grocery shooting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Julian Brown, remember the name, remember the face, man. We gotta protect this man.
They're gonna get him, bro.
You sure that's even real?
Yeah, bro. Check this out.
Everybody always wants to ask me how much per gallon does it take to take plastic waste and turn it into a gallon of my plastiline, the gasoline alternative made from plastic waste. Well, let me tell you what it's going to be. $0 per gallon. How? Because starting next month, I'm going to begin the journey of running this complete machine completely off of solar. I will take the sunlight and harness the rays of the sun at a cost of $0 per kilowatt to operate the world's first ever handmade continuous microwave pyrolysis reactor to convert plastic waste, mixed, sorted, clean, dirty, whatever. Take that plastic waste out the ocean, out the landfills, out the waste stream, and turn it into fuel. $0 a gallon. So are you ready? Are you with me on this journey? Because I'm going to need all your help. I'm gonna need every single one of your help to do this solar. But stay tuned, because we're gonna worry about that soon when that time comes next month. But I'm telling you guys now how much it's gonna cost me to make a gallon of plastiline.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
It's the jet, bro. He ran a truck off it.
Here, I have plastadiesel. A diesel alternative I made from plastic waste. And what we have beside me here, we have two Ford 1997 F-250 Powerstroke 7.3s. And we're gonna put my plastadiesel diesel alternative made from plastic waste inside of the first ever F-250 to run off of plastic waste in Chicago, baby. And we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison to see how real diesel does versus my diesel inside of this truck. So Tony, let's go ahead and get this diesel in here. Shot myself.
I got it. Tell us what he's doing.
All right, plastadiesel is inside of the pail, and we're gonna hook up the fuel hose to it.
She ran the diesel, or the truck out of diesel.
Yes, it's out of diesel. It's gonna take a minute to start.
All right, everybody, make our way back to the front. If you want to support my mission to take sunlight and turn sunlight into fuel made from plastic waste, you can go to my GoFundMe here. We're looking to raise $16,000 to get all the solar equipment I need. All right, is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I gotta ask, you guys think it's gonna run?
Yeah.
We know it's gonna run. All right, Tony, hit it.
You gotta keep the system going. Yeah. Give it a minute. You gotta keep it in. We're going.
F-250 to run off of plastic waste right here in Chicago, Illinois, baby. You ready? We're gonna see the comparison on how the engines sound, how they run.
Doesn't sound strong.
If that's the jet, this guy's in trouble.
That's why he's doing it so publicly, bro.
Ancient ruins in Burma have popped out of the ground after an earthquake in what is now Myanmar. Okay, this is wild because Burma's actually gorgeous and they have a really rich culture. And unlike many other governments, the Burmese government gave the okay to excavate quickly after these were discovered. They're just starting, but this place is believed to be a palace and it is huge. Myanmar is known for the pagoda. This guy would have been the biggest one if the king that had commissioned it didn't die and an earthquake didn't take a lot of it out. But right behind it, you'll see what it would have looked like if it was finished. I'm not going to begin to try and pronounce that name, but the place is beautiful. Unfortunately, it was also damaged in this earthquake. But the form they used to build these temples is an advanced geometric concept called the Ford Circle. And the best example of this is their crowning achievement, the Shui Dagon Pagoda. Head to toe, in gold, inside and out, the thing's an absolute unit. Locals say it's 2,600 years old, so we're gonna go with that. You gotta take a minute and realize how crazy this architecture actually is, though. The Ford Circle can be used to perfectly break up harmonic ratios in music. It is a fractal, meaning you can zoom into it as much as you want and the form will stay the same. You can even rotate it and the form will stay the same. It is also one of the only hyperbolic fractals. That's advanced geometry. It's used in deep learning for AI models. Also used in signal processing, and if we travel through a black hole, we have to use that geometry to navigate it, unless you are an Egyptian. There's a mathematical theory of everything called E8, and if you flatten it, it's the same shape as that pagoda. Myanmar is right between India and Cambodia. All three use harmonics in their architecture. Using new acoustic analysis tools and LiDAR, we are seeing so much stuff that is far more advanced than we ever thought, which makes new stuff like this even more exciting. In 10 days, all of my previous work on all of this stuff will be completely eclipsed by my new project. New temple analysis, celestial mechanics, ancient theories of reality with my pictures and their pictures. If these guys were using some crazy spiritual technology of some sort, we should figure that out, and I'm here for it.
There's a lot we don't know about frequencies, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Thanks for watching, guys. We're going to switch our membership model up a little bit and make it early access so everyone can see the content.
There'll still be a members episode every Sunday, bro.
Yeah, and then it will go public the following Wednesday. And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.